just about a year. And in the course of a year, have seen just in the times I'm home, which is, not all day long, obviously, but in that time, I have seen in excess of about 50 to 60 accidents, some of them very serious. One about 5 weeks ago, a motorcycle had come to a stop because somebody was trying to turn left on there, got hit in the back by a 1-ton Ford. The two people made it about 50 feet. The motorcycle made it almost 100 down the road there. A part of the problem with this cutoff is the road being as narrow as it is and having no shoulders. It's got about an 8-inch bike lane, and then it's got a 2-foot deep ditch on either side. So there's nowhere for anybody to move around. It's not even really wide enough to make the left-hand turn. I realize that it's a very used road. I use it myself, cutting over to Walmart because it is faster. But there's a very high rate of accidents there. Before I bought the house, there was a lady who was coming from Young Road to Spring Place, just went right through that intersection and cut the telephone pole that's on the corner of my yard, cut it completely in half. People were without power for days until they got that all cleaned up and fixed. You mentioned the fire plug that's below ground, or I mean below the road levels in that corner. The one that's there right now looks like it was just put in there. I wasn't home, but I saw the wreckers as they were leaving. It looks like a vehicle had actually gone down in the ditch on that side when they were going to make their left-hand turn. They got hit. I don't know whether they busted that off or damaged it, but it looks like the one that's there now is actually a brand new fire plug that got put there. The concern is, and ever since I've lived in this house, I've been back and forth trying to figure out, is this a county issue? Is it a state issue? Because it's State Highway 74. I've called people in commissions on both. Nobody has an answer as to who has jurisdiction. I propose to both entities, if I show up with a concrete truck at 2 in the morning and dump 10 yards of concrete to block that off, which entity is going to be calling me to find out what just happened? Then we'll know who's responsible for it. Nobody found the humor in that, which, good for them, I guess, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's getting more and more dangerous. I've seen almost a half a dozen pedestrians walking down that narrow lane almost hit. People like falling over, being pushed over into yards from vehicles, almost hitting them. Several bicyclists have bailed out into my yard when a big rig is coming down that road. Part of the problem is we have a slowdown from 55 miles an hour to 45 right before the stretch of houses and before Young Road. I thought initially if we move that 45 mile an hour another mile down the road like Ladd Springs Road and start slowing that traffic down substantially more, it might help. But the other thing that Mike and I have been noticing lately, and I don't know whether it's new factories or new chicken processing plants, but the big rig traffic on this road has become intolerable. I mean, it's as busy with big rigs now as the Dalton Pike is. I know for a fact, having driven big rigs for 10 years, that there's several sections of Spring Place Road that are not load designed for big rig traffic. I don't think anybody in the state's overly concerned about monitoring that or keeping track of it, but when you've got a big rig that literally is laying 30, 40, 50 feet of skid marks to avoid hitting a car waiting for traffic to turn left, like I said, the accident rate here has gotten to a point. Mike and I have also put together on the back side of the proposal a bypass from just west of Ladd Springs Road, just east of Kyle Lake Lane, to get all that flow of traffic back up to 64 where there's traffic controls, 4 lanes, people getting from Georgia up into Cleveland.
Yeah. Just for a minute. You keep saying Ladd Springs. Are you meaning Spring Place?
Well, no, where Ladd Springs comes into Spring Place.
Yeah, that's way down.
Right. It is.
Okay.
Because,
okay. I just didn't see the resemblance there. I didn't see the reasoning.
well, diverting traffic, because what's happened is all the farmland out there from Ladd Springs out is all being sold off and it's being developed like crazy for
Yes.
housing. The problem is all that traffic is not being accounted for in that. Most of the people coming up from Georgia and from that area are coming into downtown Cleveland to work, stuff like that. But there's no way for them to get from there out to 64. They all come through Spring Place. Mike was going to pick me up this morning on the way here. We ended up waiting an extra 20, 30 minutes because Spring Place Road every morning from 6 a.m. to about 8:30,
Yes.
it's a parking lot. We can't get out our drive. I actually go down Victory Street, up Clayton, and back around to the Circle K stoplight to get out of my driveway because it's a mile of traffic every morning solid. And every evening coming the other direction, you talked about how smooth of a transition it is turning to the right. During the middle of the day, awesome it is. Morning and evening, same thing. It's a wall of traffic. It's dangerous to pull out. The other problem is with that road being as narrow as it is, cars waiting to turn left and cars waiting to turn right, almost not enough room. And if somebody's pulling a small trailer or something, they sit there and wait because that one person has to clear before they can turn in because the road's not wide enough to accommodate that. So there are several issues with it. I don't know what the answer is. Mike and I have kind of wrapped our heads together for the last 6 or 7 months. Is reducing the flow of traffic on Spring Place the answer? Would that eliminate a lot of the congestion and accidents at the Young Road intersection? I don't know. Obviously, the bypass idea we were proposing, I mean, it's a several-year, it's a big undertaking. It's not a simple fix. To me, the simple fix would be to just K-rail off Young Road at Spring Place. It only really affects 2 houses that have their driveways on Young Road. Now, instead of just turning right around the corner, they're going to have to go a half a block down to Trewitt and over where the stoplight is. Everybody else, and I've noted on the map there, everybody else has a driveway either off of Spring Place or off of Old Spring Place, which is a weird little road that cuts in off of it, another place there. But it is a highly used road. I don't know if widening it would fix it. I don't know if there's even a way to widen it because everybody's property lines and stuff fences are right on it. The road being the height that it is, expanding it out is tough also because you've got a 2-foot plus deficit on both sides that's got to be accounted for in figuring the road and stuff. I'm not an engineer or any kind of like that. I've done construction for years and years, but there's a lot of work that would have to be done if they were going to try to redo the intersection, and it might make it easier coming in at a 90. It might make it easier for especially visibility when you're looking back to the left to see the line of traffic coming. I'm sure that would eliminate some of the accidents where people are pulling out in front of a fast-moving vehicle that are happening that way. That's kind of the minority of the accidents. Most of what we're seeing is the people that are stopped waiting to turn left being rear-ended, or people trying to skid and take what should be a shoulder or could be a shoulder. They end up taking our ditch. One gentleman going fast enough, I guess, with a truck and a trailer with some equipment on it, into my ditch, just missed the telephone pole, up over Victory Street sideways, back into Jerry's ditch on the far side. And that took, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours to get enough equipment there to clean it up.
And that was to miss hitting the vehicle turning onto Young Road. Because your Victory, I know where you're at. You're at that little brown house.
Yes.
Okay. And that's Victory on the right-hand side of the road going into the 4th district. Right. Young Road that we're talking about is in the 6th district. Okay. Or actually, is that in the 5th district, Bobby? I think it's in the 5th. No, that one is in the 6th. You're right, because Circle K. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it's broken up. Like I said, we're just trying to get something done. We didn't want to come to the commission with a bunch of problems or cry about it. We thought about ways that we could fix it, practical ways. And again, I'm not intricate with the workings of how roads get built and all the stuff that goes on. So
that's what road committees are for. We're glad you came. Tom, do you have a time today that we can debate this all morning, but do you have a time we can meet out there?
We can go after the meeting.
Okay.
I'm available all day, so.
Can you go over? And Howard will go. You go. 3 of us will go. We'll come out there after the meeting. Thanks for coming too. Kyle Lake Road and Old Kyle Lake Road TDOT study update.
If I could, both of these are county roads, not state road, and we've got TDOT study. We're dealing with a intersection on down Kyle Lake Road there. I don't know where or why TDOT was involved in this. We're not dealing with the intersection of Spring Place and Kyle Lake. the problem still exists, apparently, because I've gotten a couple of calls from parents late for school or in a hurry to get away from the school in the afternoon and running like the dickens down that road. I personally have not witnessed it, but apparently they are. And I'd like to see if we could entertain the possibility of a three-way stop sign to slow that traffic down, if we could. I'm speaking on the behalf of someone that called me that's not in my district, but they do oversee a lot of property out there. Thank you.
Could I add something to that? I think we're confusing two different, issues. We have the issue of Kyle Lake Road and Spring Place Road. That's the one the state's doing a study on. I don't think the state is involved in the one that you're
I
talking
don't
about.
think so either. I think we've
Yeah,
got
I think we've maybe got them intertwined there. But
Yeah.
anyway, this came up, I'm gonna say sometime in May, maybe even June. Had a fellow call me who owns a construction company. And he says, Tom said, they have put up a three-way stop at Kyle Lake Road and Kyle Lake Lane. And he said, when I'm coming down through there, this guy has a business out there in that area. And he said, if I'm bringing my track hoe out there on the low boy and I have to stop, he said, my low boy's on the bridge. And he said, they can't nobody get by it. People coming out of the Kyle Lake lane there, they can't turn right. So the way he talked was that there already was a three-way stop there. Well, when I took office in September 1st, there was no three-way stop there. And I can't find out if there ever was, but this guy that called me said that there was, said it was a three-way stop for a little while.
I don't recall there ever was. My young days, I spent a lot of time out there. I don't recall ever seeing a three-way stop there, and I don't recall ever seeing a bridge in the vicinity of that intersection either. But I could be wrong. But I'm just passing along on the benefit of a property owner who knows me out there, the possibility of three-way stop sign there to slow that traffic down. It's only in the mornings and the afternoons dealing with school. We're dealing with parents either late or in a hurry, one or the other. Thank you.
It's back toward the school. Yeah. Right.
Spring Place.
Are you talking about making a three-way stop? I'm just going by what this fella said. It's gonna be a problem, if you have like a low boy, hauling equipment and he has to stop, then nothing can get by him on that bridge. Now, I'm going by his word. And no, let's keep Spring Place out of it for a minute, because it's two different issues. But I'm not sure, I mean, I'll do whatever y'all want to do on it, but I don't know that there's a lot of accidents there. I don't know. Is it for accidents, or is it for convenience, or is it to satisfy one individual? I don't know the situation, but I think it needs to be looked into, especially with what this fella told me about blocking the bridge. I think we need to really pay attention to that and see if what he's told me is right, because we don't want to do that. If it's going to cause a problem with that bridge traffic, then we don't need to do it, I don't think. We can go look at that also if y'all want to. We're gonna be right there in the neighborhood, so.
Since we're talking about Kyle Lake Road, we'll come down in Springfield.
Yeah.
There's a lot of school traffic there. And that's where we've had a lot of several accidents up there. And of course, again, when one stops, there's a truck that's on Kyle Lake Road coming out. That, if they don't stop on Springfield, it's hard, a lot of times they have to do that. Somebody wants to turn into Kyle Lake, somebody wants to come off of it. We've got problems there, and I've had people say, well, we'll put a traffic light up there. I said, well, that's out in the county, and I said, we don't control the traffic light. And I said, I don't know if that would ever be used or not. I said, but that is the back way into Lake Forest School. So there are quite a bit of traffic going there, a lot of school.
Yeah.
So that's something that we can look at in the future.
Well, you know, the last meeting we had, we talked about that, and we met with some, with some state people, about this, local roads, safety initiative. They came to our office and we talked to them about some projects, and I brought that up, and they made note that they were gonna do a study there. And they weren't sure that the local road safety initiative money could be spent on that, but they were gonna check on that. They were also gonna do a study of accident data, traffic count, and all that. And I hadn't heard back from them, to make a long story short, but anyway, I can contact them and see where they're at on it. But we were trying to get the state to step in and help on that. Like I say, and there is a lot of accidents there. I think there was a school bus fairly recently. And a lot of it is because of the congestion. People, they sit there for so long and they finally just say, hey, I'm taking a chance here, I'm going. And they get hit. So, like I said in the last meeting, I would, if I were the school board people, I would encourage the buses to go out, and even the parents, some of them, go out the other way, go out Truett Road and catch a light there at Spring Place. At least you'll be a whole lot safer. But it's not human nature to go out of your way, so.
I drove a bus on that road for 15 years. Truett Road's not a good road.
No.
I almost had a couple accidents driving the bus on that road. But it's dangerous. It's not your problem. That's not your deal. That's just the way the roads are right now. So we've got problems everywhere in our roads. But I guess probably Truett Road would be better than going out Kyle Lake getting up to Spring Place. We've got a red light on Truett Road.
My thoughts on it would be if you're talking about kids and stuff, if you have to take an extra 5 minutes, what's 5 minutes for safety for a bus?
And congestion around schools I don't know that I can think of a county school right now that doesn't have a congestion problem. You know, we've worked on them through the years, but I don't think we've solved all of them, like at Hopewell, Black Fox, Michigan Avenue. It's just not a lot of people riding the school buses anymore and putting more automobile traffic around these schools.
There's so many people that come to me and they say, why can't we widen this road? People don't realize what it costs to widen the road. You got to buy right of way. We might have to make taxes way down there to widen the road. It takes a lot of money to widen the road.
Yeah, some people, you know, it's not about money. you're just not gonna get their land at any price, so we've ran into that. I've offered to pay people for their land, and, no, it wasn't about money. It's about, you're not gonna take my land. I don't know. I mean, most of the roads in Bradley County are too narrow. Most of them don't have shoulders. And most all of them have hills and curves. That's because we live in East Tennessee. If we lived out in Memphis, we wouldn't have all these hills and curves, but we don't. And that's just something that, you know, we're all gonna have to accept. We live in East Tennessee. We're gonna have hills and curves and narrow roads. And believe me, there's nothing I would like any more than to be able to widen every road that we have in the county system. But
If I could say something on that point, that would be awesome, and if we were just talking about the people who currently own the land and own the stuff, I'm all for, let's just leave it like it is. Who's gonna tell the county building department there's no more subdividing the next 25 farms out here and putting in 5,000 more houses in the next 10 years? Because they want the revenue from all that, they don't wanna spend it to put the infrastructure in.
you're not gonna get no argument out of me there. We get 7 cents out of every dollar of tax money that comes in. And a lot of people looks at these new developments like, you know, say you're gonna have a development that's gonna have 100 houses in it. Sounds like the road department's gonna get rich, but no. By the time that development needs paving one time, the road department's behind. I mean, we did not take in enough money to pave that road. So, a lot of people feel like that, anytime a development's taking place, a residential development or housing projects, whatever, that they're doing the road department a favor, and you're not. Now, if we were getting 30, 40 cents out of the dollar, yeah, you might be, but 7 cents out of the dollar, no, you're not doing the road department a favor by development. And it's certainly not enough to maintain the road through the years.
We'll look at the Kyle Lake Road while we're out there today. It's close by. Everybody clear with that one? Everybody good? B is a Brad Drive update.
Okay, I have ordered a survey from Richmond Surveying. It hasn't come through yet. And I was reading some old minutes, I think maybe back in June or July. And in the minutes, I saw where the previous road superintendent said that the road survey had been complete. Well, I haven't seen a survey, and we've been out there numerous times to try to find some stobs, you know, thinking maybe it had been surveyed, but we haven't found anything. So anyway, I ordered another survey, and it hadn't come through yet, and there's really nothing we can do until we know that we're putting the road in the right place this time.
Okay.
So, well, you know, as soon as the survey
Okay.
comes through, we're gonna get on it.
Okay, thank you. 1,000 block of Freewell Road assessment.
That's now in the city. We did ride through there and look at it before we knew it was, had been annexed. And actually, we didn't find a problem anyway. We rode it several times, and we didn't find it to be a problem. But anyway, it's in the city now, so if it is a problem, it's a city problem.
Okay. Thank you. Letter D, Perrin request to deeds alleys to property owners.
You want to address that, or you want me to? What's his name out there on Sparrow Point? Sparrow Point. All right, we've looked at that several times, and we've kind of, all of us have put our heads together, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but anyway, we've got a plan of removing an 18-inch pipe that was installed, joined the 18-inch pipe that was going under the road. So we're gonna go back in there and we're gonna put replace that 18-inch tile that we put in previously, that didn't carry the water. So we're gonna go in there now and replace that one with a 36-inch, which that is what Mr. Whitehead has put throughout his property to carry all that water. And we believe this will work. We're going to do that and monitor it, and if it don't work, we'll do something different. We're trying to avoid digging up the road. And I think the way that this is going to work, I believe it'll work just fine without the road flooding.
Okay.
I will, however, I might need the commission to vote to allow me to work on Mr. Whitehead's land to do some of this work.
Get it
Okay.
right.
Well, that's a little complicated. I mean, first you'd have to get the property owner to authorize it to be done. And then also you have the issue of Tom legally can't work off the right of way unless you can establish and show that you're not benefiting the property owner, that he's doing it for purposes of fixing the road, the right of way. So we can look at that, but it's not a straightforward process. And quite frankly, you all really don't have the approval to authorize him to do it unless all those things that I just talked about are in place. So he doesn't really need your approval. What he needs to do is make sure that those things have happened. So we can look at that, but it's not an easy process.
If I recall on that, I think that was the previous administration had messed up I think they had admitted that a backhoe or something had messed up the tile or something. The wrong tile was put
The
in.
information that I had was that it had been submitted to insurance, and I have confirmed that that is not the case. Local government said there has not been an insurance claim filed. Nothing has ever been done on that. So I don't know the facts of it. I don't know what has happened on that side, but as far as we are concerned, there's not been any insurance claim submitted about it. So, I mean, if it obviously can be fixed or should be fixed, then we need to look at that. But there is no insurance claim that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that isn't the Perrion request that we're talking about.
No.
That has nothing to do with item D.
Don't think the issue that he's talking about is on the agenda, but it is.
Yeah, I think that's in a subdivision.
The
That one
Perrion
is.
request is to consider deeding bordering property owners the alleys behind 1050 12th Street Northeast and 1230 and 1255 Craig Miles Street.
Yes, and I have been asked about that one as well, and there is an email. Someone needs to let Ms. Perrin know that what the county's process is for this to happen, and that starts with Bentley Thomas's office, where there has to be a petition signed and there's a procedure, but I don't think that process has been followed, to my knowledge.
Okay, so we'll get in touch with Miss Perrin then on that one, so she can follow the legal papers. Brentwood Estates safety assessment.
So I can speak to that one.
Okay.
7 months ago, there was an accident on one of the roads in Brentwood Estates by the postal carrier. At that time, the post office decided they would no longer deliver mail to those residents in that neighborhood. And so for the past 7 months, they've been having to go to the post office and retrieve their mail daily. And Tom, you and I talked about this because they said they were going to put cluster mailboxes, but they were waiting on a soil study. They were waiting on your office. You never received anything. To make a long story short, they do have the mailboxes up now, and they are functioning for the residents. I don't know that it's necessary to still do a safety assessment, but this stemmed from an accident that a postal carrier had, and for 7 months, those residents never received their mail. So you probably can just take this one off the list.
The mailboxes, the cluster boxes are in place now, but
Mhm.
I have to ask myself a question. That's an old subdivision. That thing has had that hill since I believe I was a kid. I wonder why it got so dangerous when the asphalt is probably the best it's ever been. It's as wide as it's ever been. I don't know why these people are having to go through this. I've got to defend the road department on this. I don't think there's anything wrong with the road that would warrant a postal driver not going up there. I mean, that's their prerogative. If they don't want to go up there, they don't have to. But I don't want it to make it sound like that we have a dangerous road. We all know that when you live on a 15, 13, 14, 15% grade, it's going to be a little more hazardous than one on flat ground. But I just don't want the road department to have the blame for something that's been there for years and years and not been a problem. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Okay. Thanks, Commissioner Slater. Randolph Samples Road pothole assessment.
Well, out there where Randolph Samples meets Highway 64, there's a section there that has what we call white topping. It's a section of concrete that's supposed to hold up commercial traffic better than asphalt. Well, it does for a long time, but then there comes a time when the concrete goes to breaking up. So I think that's the problem right there. And come spring, we hope to pave that, at least that section, if not that whole road.
Mr. Thompson.
Where over there, do they offer any assistance on that? All those trucks come out of a lot of, most of that is truck.
They bring us a calendar about every year. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't help any.
What does the state do about going in so far?
You know, I may be wrong about this, but I believe the state was involved when they first did that white topping project there, putting the concrete in. I believe, I may be wrong, I can check and see, but I believe the state was involved in that and may have even paid for it. I'm not sure, but I'll try to find out.
Go ahead.
Is that the query, Howard, does that come out on Bates Pike and Ladd Springs? Okay.
Anything else on Randolph Samples? Next is G, Candies Creek Ridge Road and Old Georgetown Road intersection.
We're ready to move on that. Just want to let the full commission know that we're going to do it. We're going to advertise it in the paper. We're going to set a date and time. as to when it will become a three-way stop, we're gonna, right now it has the orange flashing lights or yellow flashing lights, whatever you wanna call it. We have the rumble strips in place. We do not have the stop bars in place, but that's about 2 to 3 hours work. So whatever day that we decide on, we're gonna advertise it in the paper for a couple of times.
Okay.
Put it out on Facebook, social media, and we'll name a time and date that we're gonna change it to a three-way stop.
Mr. Chairman,
And we will convert the yellow flashing lights to red.
Commissioner Slater.
we voted to approve that Monday. Yeah, we approved that Monday.
Tuesday.
Okay. Good, okay.
So it's ready to go.
Yeah, we'll advertise it, and I'll let y'all know when it's gonna be, but you'll probably see it in the paper, on social media or somewhere.
Okay, thank you. Moving into new business, Hickory Road, possible name change.
Oh.
I'm not sure, I can look and tell you there in just a minute. If I can find my phone. Bobby says there's two on it. Now, the problem is, why we're wanting to do this is Ron Wilson, and he's the building official for the county. And he ran into a problem. You want me to read it to you, what his memo to me was? Mr. Collins, during a permit request for a new manufactured home to be placed on Hickory Road Northeast, a situation was found that needs to be addressed. That road in northeast Bradley County, and it runs from Lower Chestooey Road northeast to a junction point of Freeman Circle, and then runs parallel along Polk County, Bradley County border, and where it runs along the border, it has two names. It is Hickory Road Northeast in Bradley County and Freeman Circle in Polk County. It is a Bradley County road, but there is confusion among the residents on this road and emergency responders. Their USPS mail is serviced by Benton, and therefore they have two addresses for their property, because Hickory Road was addressed by Bradley County and Freeman Circle was addressed by Polk County for the Benton mail route, and the address numbers do not match, and the numbers actually run in opposite directions. Landline calls placed to 911 shows them as Freeman Circle, Benton. One of the residents of this road told me that her uncle fell and broke his hip, and 911 was called, and they wouldn't come out because they showed it as Polk County due to the Freeman Circle address. It was later resolved, and they did go out because they showed them the deed to the property listing it as Bradley County, according to her. So my suggestion is to leave Hickory Road Northeast as is from its junction point at Lower Chestooey northeast, approximately 2,250 feet to the junction of Freeman Circle. then end Hickory Road from that point south approximately 1,480 feet to the county line. Remain that section Freeman Circle to the same as how it's known now in order to combat the confusion. So what I gave you there was yellow is what is Hickory Road. And if you see it goes up there and it bears right. Well, it's still called Hickory Road there. And it is still Bradley County. But Freeman Circle, it needs to be changed to Freeman Circle, that portion of it. I think there's, I've got the footage wrote down on some of those. But anyway, how many feet was it? Like 1,600 feet of it. It needs a name change from Hickory Road to Freeman Circle. In doing so, we would have to notify 911, the Postal Service, and everybody, of the name change. But I feel like, according to what happened there, I feel like we need to do that. And in the letter that I just read, it refers to it as coming off of Lower Chestatouille Road. It's actually Chestatouille Road. It's not Lower Chestatouille.
What's your question? I think your only portion would to be approve the change, and then at that point, that would trigger road department and everyone else to do the notifications and change the name and do everything that we need to do to get it done.
Do we need a motion to do that? Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that, we do that and then the road department take it over.
Yeah, I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I did.
Tommy.
1,370 feet. Okay.
Any discussion? Got any discussion?
Tom, or-
Mm-hmm.
and then, the road superintendent will handle it from there once it's done,
Yeah,
make the notification.
yeah.
I've got a motion and a second. All those approve? Say aye. It passes. Last on the new business, 2023 Bradley County Road List three-way stop.
I apologize for not having that ready.
Okay.
We were going back and checking what had happened from May until September 1st. We wanted to check and make sure that any changes that had occurred had been made on the road list. And what we found is it pretty much has. Everything has been kept up, but we weren't sure about that. So we're almost complete having the road list updated. In doing so, it's hard for us to do because when they annex something, I'm gonna give you an example, Free Will Road, we had trouble finding out if that portion of Free Will Road out to that last annexation that they did had been taken in as city. But then we find out that it did. But still, we don't know exactly where it cuts off at, where the city stops and we continue.
Okay.
I would like to ask that we work out something with the city that when you when they annex a road or a portion of a road, give us numbers, references, property lines, whatever we need to know, because they don't move their city limit signs. Like on Freewheel, that city limit sign's still in the same place it has been. So we don't know, I can't make that road list accurate until I know the footage. And if I can't do the footage until I know the location of where it starts or stops. So I don't know the process for working with the city on that, but I just like to see it to where when they annex something, we know, where the city and county meet. Would that be possible?
Lori, can we send the city?
Like on
letter
New
and
Murraytown Road,
request
they
that?
annex some of New Murraytown, but I don't really know where to and where from. I don't know what they annexed.
They don't care, they're gonna make you pave it anyway if they can.
Can we get on that?
I can check my records on that too. The city did send us some things on those annexations, so we may have some documentation that we can provide as well. Because they do send notifications, I think, to the mayor's office on some of those.
Anything else before we wrap up?
I have one item.
Commissioner Slater?
I appreciate you sending the September and October financials to us. Do you know when you'll have November and December?
I'm gonna let Shannon answer that.
We have local government coming Thursday. There's just some issues with balancing out previous months, with some old checks that were checked off, that they were cleared, and those checks never physically cleared our trustee's office. So we're in the process of having to probably turn those checks over to the state because you can't just void them.
Right.
So that's the problem, and they're coming Thursday to help us get that
Okay.
settled, and hopefully in the next few weeks we'll get those for you.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Mr. Thompson?
Tom, are we gonna have money for paving this year?
Some. Not enough.
Is Chatta Valley gonna take a big bunch of that, or what?
Yeah, it's gonna take the biggest part of our budget, about all of it, to be honest with you. But the thing about it is, we get 98% of it back. But here's the catch to it. I've got to get it done and get it turned in and get the money back before budget time. And it's gonna push us to do that, but we're gonna give it our best shot that we can get. See, we're starting from scratch. It's not like that we're going in there and, picking up where it was previously left off. We've got to bid out our asphalt, which we will do that in February. And we can't start the I guess planning this project until we know that, until we know the price of asphalt, the price of the liquid, rock, all this. But if the state will work with us, and I think they will, to put it on the fast track because of what happened, I believe we can get it done before July and possibly even get our money back before July. And that's going to be important because we want to get all the paving we can get done this summer. We're behind. I'll be honest with you, we're behind. I don't know what kind of a schedule we're on now. I know at one point back 8-10 years ago, we were on like a 12-year cycle that your road would be paved every 12 years. Well, now you're on something like a 35-year cycle, based on the past few years. So we got to some way or another, and I don't know, I don't want to come to the commission right off the bat saying we need more money, but we do. But we're going to do the best we can with what we got, and hopefully it'll be enough.
A couple more things. Asphalt was up quite a bit. I'm still going up.
Well, yeah, it's bound and determined to go up because rock itself is going up. And the liquid fluctuates so bad, the only way you really can bid out asphalt is to put a, I don't know what you call that, adjuster. It's a formula in there. If liquid asphalt goes up beyond a certain point, you have to factor that in. Escalator clause, that's what I'm trying to think of. It's an escalator clause. But if liquid goes up beyond a certain point, then you have to factor that into the price. Okay, probably this year, we're gonna have to add in a diesel, a fuel cost also. That, and it protects, I guess, us and the contractor. And if you don't do that, I know probably you're wondering, why would you do that? If you don't put that in there, and it helps both. It helps the contractor, it helps us. If you don't put it in there, you're gonna get some crazy high bids. Because these contractors, they're gonna protect themselves. Trust me. They're gonna bid it high enough, they're protected. So it's better on the both of us to have those escalating clauses in there.
There's one other thing, and it's brought to my attention all the time, especially older people like me. When it rains at night, these roads are terrible, and you know what I'm talking about when it comes to putting lines on the road. Well, the answer is we always got it. It takes a lot of money to put lines on the road, which it probably does, but it's a safety hazard. I'm telling you, it's not just me, it's just people that can't see well when it rains, and the roads are narrow anyway. And I know that you started putting reflectors on in the previous administration. I think took them off and sold them or something. I don't know what they done. Anyway, they got rid of them. But we need to look at that, I think, is restriping these roads again. And of course, I know it costs a lot of money to do that.
Well, I'll be honest, Howard, if the county commission today said, Tom, we have $1 million for the road department to spend anywhere you would like to spend it, that's where it would go, be striping and reflectors on the roads. That's where it'd go. Now, we need paving, but we need those worse. And that stuff, in fact, the striping weren't even bid in last year's bid. So I asked a fella over in Murfreesboro a couple of months ago when we were over there. I met a fella that runs a striping company, and I asked him, I said, how much is striping now? And I think in 2014, somewhere right in there, it was around $240 a mile. And he said, now it's $500 a mile. One line, 1 mile. So if you want to put 4 lines on a 1 mile, it's going to cost you $2,000. But I agree with you, and probably that's one of our biggest complaints of call-ins is our road needs striped. And of course, it's a thing that you don't do this time of year anyway. You make a mess if you try. It doesn't dry quick enough. They'll drive all over it. So it's not something you do this time of year anyway. But we hope to do some in the spring and summer. It might be worth a try. We have that in some locations where turning left has to yield or prohibited, so. I'm not sure about the legalities of that.
I don't think it would be enforceable.
I don't know. I know, it sounds good. Yeah. Believe me, you don't want me having jurisdiction of what these signs say, where it says $500 or $50 minimum sign for littering. I'd have 50,000 on there, me, I mean.
Yeah.
Right, I understand. That might work. I don't know, I don't, people aren't reading signs nowadays. And those that are reading them are not adhering to them.
Yeah.
They're not obeying them. But I mean, if you want to try it, we'll try it.
Commissioner Gilbert?
What's the cost on the reflectors? On Durkee Road, I was at the ball game the other day, and Mr. Close Orr come up and said, "Hey, I work at Maytag, and I live down here on Durkee. Coming up through there, I've started going up to the bypass that way." He said, "Just because I can't see. Getting older, plus," he said, "the reflectors was a really good thing, and they're gone." He said, "Is there any way we can get reflectors there? What's the different cost of
You can get different types. The one we use are basically the cheapest you can get, and it's, in 2014, I think we was paying about 80 cents a piece. It takes about 52 per mile. You put them about every 100 feet. So it's one of the cheapest things you could do, and it takes a 2-part epoxy to paste them to the asphalt. And that, they work real well. The downside to them is if you have a big snow and you got to go plow the snow, you're going to plow them up. But, you know, at 80 cents a piece, which I think now there may be $1, $1.10, something like that a piece. But at that price, you know, you can afford to plow some of them up. Now, if you want to put the snow plowable ones, the ones that are countersunk into the asphalt, those, of course, we'd have to have it contracted, and they're about $35 a piece. So we don't do those.
Thank
We normally put them like on a straight road, like 100 feet apart, and that's plenty. But if you've got a real sharp curve, we'll put them 50 feet. I don't know who bought those, but they bought a bargain.
Anybody else before we adjourn?
I have one item. Tom, me and you had talked about Milligan Road, about the Thrill Hill. Is there any way we can put some rumble strips coming off of Lad Springs, put several rumble strips to at least try to slow them down there, hitting that hill at 50 miles an hour? Rumble strips, or my grandson calls them butt ticklers on the side of the road. You know, you have the little, where you've dug the road up, they call them butt ticklers. So anything to slow them down a little bit. I mean, because I mean, I've got one constituent that's, evidently here not too long ago, there was a real bad accident there, and I think someone lost their life there on the hill. So let's try to do something to deter, whatever your choice, whatever you think.
I mean, you know, that's something that we can do. I mean, I don't think I can do it anytime soon. I'll be honest with you. We've got our hands full right now with projects. And one of them, I guess, y'all probably know about the Sheffey Lane project.
Yeah.
That was put on hold, so we're trying to revive it. And it's a similar situation to Million Road. I don't know what you could do if people are if they're jumping it for fun.
They are.
I don't know of anything you can do if they want to have fun on it.
Well, you got a great name when you talked about it. You said it was called Thrill Hill, and that's exactly what it's called.
Yeah.
you know, 'cause I have my granddaughters, they'll come over from there, and they always come down Million Road, 'cause you just turn onto Spring Place there, and I'm just right there. So a lot of people like that road, you know, coming back home. I mean, we go over it ourselves when we go over 64, we come that way. But I think rumble strips would just slow them down maybe. Or maybe just a speed bump if possible. I don't know if we could do a speed bump, no.
Those will cause more wrecks.
You think
They'll
so?
get 'em going, yes. Speed bumps
Well,
cause more problems and you can't do, yeah.
what, I mean, if you don't think rumble strips will work, then it won't work.
I don't think it will, I'll be honest with you.
Okay,
All you're doing is alerting your good drivers to something.
yeah.
Your bad drivers don't give a flip.
They'll go on
they
the
could
other
care
side.
less about
just to
them rumble
miss the
strips.
rumble
They
strip.
know that hill's there, they're gonna jump it.
Well, I'll make that your choice, just, you know, if you,
I
if
mean,
you see it
that
feasible,
ain't
fine.
to
If you
say we
don't,
don't need to work on it. You know, someday, when we've have the time and the manpower and the money, we probably do need to address that. We really do. Like, I'm wanting to do the one at Sheffield Lane because I weren't familiar with the importance of doing this project or even why we were doing this project. But as I've learned more about it, I got into the file on it. It was a thrill hill. They were jumping the railroad track, and of course, you know, an accident happened, took a life, and we're going to try to fix it. In the same way there, we can try to fix that, but as for right now, I don't have the manpower, the money.
just as long as I've got it in the
Right.
books that we've addressed it, so
Yeah.
that's all my concern is, as long
Right.
as we've addressed it.
The road department gets a lot of blame for a lot of things that really I feel like are undeserving. Like, if y'all remember, I guess, up on Frontage Road, we had a couple of fatalities there within a year or so. And there's really, and Frontage Road's one of really the best roads we have as far as asphalt, shoulder, speed limit 45. I mean, there really should be no serious accidents on it, but there are. And it gets a bad rap from the drivers. So, we can't get in their vehicles and drive their vehicles for them. So,
Anybody else before we close? Everybody, hearts and minds clear? Feel good? I want to thank, before we do close out, I want to thank County Attorney Crystal Freiberg. She doesn't get enough. She helps us all out, I guarantee it. And I want to thank her for coming to our road committee meeting, and continue, please. And we'll adjourn. Thank you. Okay.
They were missing you.
It's the one that has one on it, the one that came. Looks older.
Hey, I appreciate you guys, you don't know how much.
thank you, Tom.
You guys, and you've always been good to me.
Where that petition is, 'cause he clearly wasn't.
You know how to turn that off.